My dad is on a cruise. Hi, guys. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Deborah, Nicole, Andy, Casey. I did tell you Christy wasn't your real dad. I'm so sorry. Hey, Salty. Hello, good afternoon. Dukes, Jessica, Wendy. Hope everyone is doing well. Deborah. I have been working on this quite a bit. So, okay, everybody can hear me? Good. I don't have to listen to myself now. I hate listening to myself. All right. So we have got a lot of work to do here. If you don't mind hitting the like. I never asked for that. That's so funny when people do. Hit the like. Ping. Perfect timing, Skilo. Yay. Sound is good. All the things. I love a good visual too. I really love a good visual. So, what I have been working on the last time we were here, we went over Christina, the stalkers, um, TikToks mostly. That's what we went over. And I told you guys then that I like to be thorough with these things. I don't want to um, misrepresent or put my own opinion out there without having some knowledge of what I'm looking at and trying to understand, right? Oh, good. So you did get to most of it. That's good. So I don't know how many people finished Lauren's 9-hour live stream. It was really long, but it is important to go back and look at everything. I do want to say, though, I was sent some information, some very private information. I don't know that those things will come out. They probably will. It's not my right to put those things out. So, um, I can say now that I have seen the other side of the legal part of all of this, though. So there was Lauren's declaration, there's been Grayson's, but there were also these other people who also put declarations. They've detailed their stories in their own words, and things don't quite add up. I've also watched the Patreon that Lauren and her husband did, and it definitely wasn't as dramatic or stressful. Maybe she's calmed down since then. It was a little unnerving at some parts. There was laughing and giggling and waving to their stalker, who allegedly is also a Patreon. So I found that weird. If you are truly terrified of this person, then I don't know why you would be waving to them or trying to antagonize them, especially if you think that they are terrifying, if they're very scary people. But I wish we could all just get along too. Unfortunately, we can't always just get along. The declarations kind of mirror each other at the tail end. Hi, Sophie. So, everything that I've read, again, I'm not going to be sharing anything publicly because it's not my business to do that. I will say that the other people have very strong feelings themselves. They do. And they break down their relationship and they break down who they are and why they feel the way that they do. Now, we've already heard Lauren's 9-hour stream. What we're going to go over in this one, Hey Mystery, is really as much as I could get through, because what I'm doing is going, and people will be like, this is so tedious, just fly through it. And I have seen a lot of people fly through it to either compare it to their own lives, their own situations, somebody they don't like's situation, whether it meets the criteria for stalking and bullying and all of the things. I'm trying to do it piece by piece, if that makes sense. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. So we're going to start here. Christina, the alleged stalker, Janice, who I've come to realize, I believe, is. I don't know. New subscriber, Vivian, welcome. Lindsay, who was a producer for a period of time, and Lori, who was already friends with Lauren and others. So we're going to go over statements as much as I could pull without losing my mind. So here's the first one. And as they go, because it's in presentation mode, I'll have to stop it really quickly. So, no, she no longer has the court date because she felt as though lawn crime was violating her privacy. And we also need to really maybe discuss that a little bit, right? I do true crime too, so I understand, right? I do understand that it's difficult to cover these cases, and sometimes you become protective of the people in those cases, and the lines are blurry. But what is baffling me is watching Lauren, someone who has made a living analyzing other people's behaviors, other people's trauma, suddenly want silence from law and crime. That's a little bit of a conundrum there for me personally. You can't have it every single way. No, not yet. I have not seen her say anything just yet. But as soon as she does, we will be on it. And I'm not defending law and crime. They are a network built to sensationalize almost tragedy. But that's odd because Lauren, too, helped build that system along with other true crime channels. She fed that machine. And now she wants the machine to be shut off when the story is focused at her. And that's simply not how any of this works. Anjanette Levy was sitting at CrimeCon with other people while all of this was going on. You can't simply pretend you're not seeing what you're seeing at CrimeCon and not want information. Hey, Wolfie. Hey, Vintage Mama. Good to see you back again. It's her private life. But is it, though? But is it, though? It is the private life of many when they're involved in a domestic violence situation. In a million different situations, these are people's private lives. Some don't want to be pulled into any of this, yet they're pulled in anyway. So, you can't be in the spotlight and then expect the spotlight to turn off for you, but then turn it back on other people. It doesn't always work. And I mean, that is the paradox in true crime. We want the truth, but none of us, including us as creators, want the truth to hit too close to home. So, what is considered a limited public person? Well, I mean, she is a reporter. She is out there in the public. She's a journalist. She covers these cases. I think she's more of a public figure than she's a limited public figure. Her name is recognizable. Her face is very recognizable. Many people would know who she is versus who Grandma Sherry is. they would know. So there's a couple of things that I have watched this week preparing for this, and one of them was Patreon. And Lauren feels like she's being bullied and she's harassed, but I can't I can't say that she's not. She feels like she is. So if that's how she feels, then that's how she feels. I will say watching some things has made me question that narrative a little bit. And that's just me. I did. I did watch the Patreon. And it was interesting when they waved to the stalker and laughed about it. And maybe that was nervousness, feeling like, ugh, we know that she's in here. I don't know. I don't know what that was, but to me it was odd. If I'm terrified of somebody, I'm definitely not going to acknowledge them. But then again, she's dropped the permanent RL. So, and what this is focused on is analyzing things. This isn't harassment, it's not gossip. I don't want that to be the focus in the chat either. These are Lauren's public statements. There are publicly available filings. There are private filings that people were given and I've seen. Um, we're going to look at what Lauren's saying because that was something we really didn't do in the last one. We were just looking at the stalker. And I don't want to keep calling her the stalker. Her name is Christina. We're going to call her Christina. So uh, we're not going to continue to argue this. Lauren has brought it public now. Now it's public because Lauren brought it public. That's it. We can't keep arguing it because it's already happened. It's here. And if she feels strongly enough that law and crime violated her rights, the Utah court didn't agree with it. The Utah court said, this is public and anybody is allowed in here. And I grant them the ability to record this. That's what happened. There is no question about it. It happened. And they said, yes, you can record it. A person's perception is their reality. True. But their perception is not everybody else's reality. Her perception of stalking is not the reality of Christina. Christina's saying, no, I'm not stalking, but I did call you out because I think you're a shitty friend. So, and again, is this about sides? No. It's about what the facts are. So, what are they? And that's what we need to really look at. And that's what we're going to look at. So, we're going to start with
my stalker's name during this video.
We're going to start here with her
My stalker's
first
name.
words. And again, because this is in presentation mode, it likes to play on its own. But we're starting here with Lauren's words.
My stalker's name during this video. So I am going to refer to her as my stalker. That's what I will be dubbing her. April of 2024 is when it all begins. That is when I meet my stalker in Boise, Idaho at the Chad Daybell trial. When she shows up for a few days attending as public. She's public. She's interested in the case she's watching. She introduces herself as a fan of my podcast, and she gifts me a cell phone microphone and a tripod. I also meet another fan of the podcast at this trial named Lori, also attending as the public. So not to be confused with Lori Daybell or Lori Hellis. This is Lori, someone attending as public named Lori. Then there is Lindsay. Lindsay is a podcast producer, and Lindsay starts doing part-time production work for me at this trial. She's quite good, very talented. And then there is my stalker. And my stalker also befriends Lindsay and Lori. And Lindsay, the producer that is there, starts doing part-time production work for me during this trial. And my stalker and Lori become friends with Lindsay, along with another woman named Janice. Now, a few things to know about Janice. Janice I don't know her very well. This is our history though. She was noticed by me in Daybell Facebook groups early on years ago. I was in a lot of the Daybell Facebook groups. It's where a lot of information is, a lot of the insider scoops. Um, and she was quite funny.
Okay, so she mentions Janice and says, I saw Janice in the Facebook groups. That's where a lot of the scoops are. She was quite funny, blah, blah, blah. So these are some of the things that she showed on her own live stream, posts by Janice in a Facebook group that Lauren felt was bullying. So Janice posts Christmas idea for Janice. I don't know who Janice is. A mug with her family members' mug shots. I don't want to get into the whole Janice thing. Okay, so yes, Lori had mug shots. Other people had mug shots, and Colby had a mug shot. The live stream blank is going live February 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Let's talk Kaywood. This is no YouTube, but Lauren says it implied that Kay was complicit in JJ's murder. And at the time, I believe Janice was a mod for analytics. Okay. I saw something just ring. I think somebody just became a subscriber. And if you did, thank you so much. Repeatedly calling Christina a stalker. Well, it does. It kind of puts it into your brain that this person is now a stalker. And okay. We're not going to discuss who Lindsay is. We're not going to discuss. Listen. Do you see it up there? Keep it civil, fact-based, and focused. You can stand with Lauren. You can stand with Lindsay. You can hate Christina. You can whatever. That's all okay. I want to try to stay focused on exactly what was said and what we can find. By saying something like, "Oh, we know who Lindsay is. She's a Laura supporter." That puts in somebody else's mind, "What? Laura?" Don't do that. Let's try to keep it focused on what we're talking about. So, Colby's mugshot. Colby's mugshot was due to, in the Netflix documentary Sins of Our Mother, Colby claimed he was sexually and physically abused as a child by his stepfather, Joseph Ryan. Annie Cushing is Joe's sister, but Joe was Tylee's dad, so his stepdad. Colby described their relationship as deeply troubled, stating everything I did was annoying to him and Joe would punch him in the back of the head. Annie claims her brother Joe took polygraphs and Tylee had never made these claims. Colby, Ryan, who I do watch and I do follow and I do feel terrible for, was arrested for 2 counts of domestic violence, sexual assault. Court records say, I believe it was his estranged wife, reported that Ryan pressured her for sex, ignored her repeated stop and no please, and then assaulted her. The next day, she recorded him admitting he did rape her. A sexual assault exam and DNA testing followed. Police say Ryan later confessed during questioning and was booked into the Maricopa County Jail, dropped a week later without prejudice. So that's what happened. That's where the mugshot came from, in case people were wondering. I was wondering because I didn't even remember that any of these things happened. So I was like, oh my gosh, where did this why is there a mugshot of Colby? But that's the reason why. So there it is.
Complicit in her.
Okay. Now, she goes on further to talk about Janice. These are the reasons she does not like her. Okay. Because she made a joke out of putting his mugshot on a mug, which is in bad taste. Absolutely it is. But let's keep going.
Complicit in her grandson's murder, and that she didn't do enough. It was a very cruel video. Kay is a victim in this case. Her brother and 7-year-old boy were murdered, and people are doing videos about her. Complicit in her grandson's murder, and that she didn't do enough. It was a very cruel video. Kay is a victim in this case. Her brother and 7-year-old boy were murdered. And people are doing videos about her. And Janice liked to advertise those videos, and she was a mod in those videos, a moderator. And then again, you saw the other one where she's making fun of a dear friend of mine and another victim who lost his entire family. Okay, so that's good. So those are just a couple examples of why I didn't care for her types of posts and rhetoric that Janice would use that maybe people think are types of posts and rhetoric that Janice would use that maybe people think are funny. Again, that's fine. It wasn't my cup of tea. I told my friends privately, in private, that I thought she was a bully and that she was insensitive to victims. It was my personal opinion that I'm allowed to have. And then Janice and I officially met in person at the Lori Daybell trial in Boise, Idaho in 2023. And I attempted there to try to put our differences aside and focus on what matters, justice. And I let her know that, we might be on the different political sides of the aisle, Janice, but what we both care about is justice. And so we were friendly at the trial. Although I did notice while at that trial that she continued filming Larry and Kay Woodcock during vulnerable moments, making shorts about them that were unkind in nature and that would make most people uncomfortable. Additionally, that person you heard says that I randomly lived with her brother. That's Janice. A big rumor out there is that I lived with Janice's brother, who was my doctor when I was like 29 or 30. I never have. I've never even kissed the guy. I don't know where that rumor started, but just so you know, it's going around to several people.
I want to take a minute to focus on what was said there. She says Janice was a moderator, okay? Janice was not a reporter. She's not a YouTube channel holder. She worked as a mod. She worked in the Facebook group and on a YouTube channel as a moderator. She would she says Janice was very funny, that she was known for her memes and known. Welcome, Jessica. And she liked her. She thought she was funny. But then she didn't anymore. She didn't think that the things that Janice was doing were amusing. And she called her a bully in private. Okay. I don't know. I don't know Unfollowed. I really don't. So these are the things that she's saying to now. A couple of days ago, Wednesday, she's saying, I thought she was a bully, and I did tell people in private that I thought that she was a bully, but I did tell her in person, we can put those things aside. Okay. You think she's talking badly about victims. You think that she's bullying Colby, who's your friend. You think she's bullying Kay Woodcock, who's the grandma. You think all of these things. Then you guys see each other there and you're like, okay, let's just put our differences aside. But that's not actually what happened, because here's what was going on. These are ex-friends' lies about Janice. Blank, she says. These are things on the right side of on the left side are things that she was telling her friends while all of this was happening. Ignore the right side of your screen for just a second. You get along with blank, Janice, and Annie Cushing. That's not a winning endorsement. So right there, she's saying, well, you're friends with Janice and Annie. Annie, again, who is Joe Ryan's sister and has a channel. Annie Lytics, Annie Cushing. That's not a winning endorsement. Then says Blinked moved there briefly and then learned people in Rexburg weren't kind. Janice didn't help. Everyone in court acts like we are all in this together for justice and is super kind to one another, except for Janice, who acts like she's saving seats in the cafeteria for the cool girls. Why do I suspect blank is a swinger? Because I do. At least she's dabbled, maybe dabbling. Okay, then she goes on. What's up with Julie Rowe? These are all Annie. These are all Lauren texting these to other people. Everything on the left side of your screen here. I think Julie Rowe is like Annie and Janice. and everyone and every other Rexburg woman freaking out that the Daybell case is coming to an end and they will once again be irrelevant. I've always been a bit wary of Janice. That's somebody else saying that. I've always been. Yes, these are screenshots from Christina's TikTok. I pulled them right off of there. Annie doesn't like me. I tried to play it off and be everyone's buddy and would chit chat with Annie in line for security. And once she was gone, I tried to include Janice, and I think she appreciated that. But deep down, I don't think I would ever hang out or be friends with her. Janice was at the trial, and at one point we were going to hang out, but drinking with blanks aren't or Janice. I don't know what any of that means. Okay, move to the right side. She sent these messages to Janice while sending those messages to her other friends. How much longer are you in town? I'm leaving tonight, but we should go to dinner before blank is over. I know we have friends on other ends of the aisle when it comes to the politics of this case. Pause. So this tells you, you just heard what she said, we're on the opposite ends of the political aisle on this, but I've always liked you. And I think when it comes down to it, we all just want fucking justice. Anyway, if you're down to hang out, I'd love to sometime. I should probably have invited you over when I interviewed blank and blank's friends. It was a wild ride. All right. So is that terrible? No. I mean, she doesn't like Janice. She's made it clear she doesn't like Janice, but then she's gossiping about her. A lot of women gossip. A lot of women are mean girls. I don't find this to be horrible. I find it to be disingenuous and fake. And if you want to be taken seriously, you probably shouldn't be backbiting people but then inviting them to dinner in the same breath, because it's your friends are not going to trust you. They're going to look at you and say, "What the hell is wrong with you? You're saying you can't stand her. You don't like her, but here you are messaging her." So, do I find any of this that she posted these to be stalking? No. And maybe pause, okay, because this is an example that has been given, that Christina's making these TikToks and stalking her. Look at the left side of your screen. Releasing these. Does that seem like stalking to you? Yeah, I think so. I mean, right now, that's where I'm at this point right here. It's it's very strange. This is, to me, is this stalking? No. You know, she's got your messages. You were trying to be phony and she posted them. That's it. That's all that happened. Very much. Here's my question. Peel Morena, 4.99. Here's my question. Why doesn't release the full messages, not just screenshots? On either end, I don't know why Lauren didn't release them or why Grayson hasn't released them. She said she saw 6 years of screenshots, or why Christina doesn't release them all. Maybe they were all talking shit together. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Thank you again for the super chat. She uses people, and when she's done with them and they want to fight back, she freaks out. I have lots of disabilities, but actually stalked. Oh my goodness, Jessica. Yikes. I don't think it proves. I agree. I don't either. Not yet. Not yet. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's something. Can I turn down the volume on? I cannot. I can turn down the volume on my system. That might help a little. We'll see. Not squeaky clean. And I don't think any of us, are we all squeaky clean? No. Have we all probably talked shit at one point or another? Yes. But I would hope not in the same breath, right? if I'm Lauren and I am looked at as this person who's dedicating so much time, so much energy, so much effort to following this trial, giving you the unbiased information, and then I have a group of friends, producers, friends, whatever industry, and I am backbiting them in private, and then inviting them to dinner, doesn't I don't like it personally.
May of 2024, I am asked by a well known public figure that I really respect if I know a good podcast producer. And I tell them, yes, I do. And I introduce this person to Lindsay. And I encourage Lindsay to connect with this person. And she seems super happy, and the two connect. And I am super happy for them. And then on June 8th, so June 8th, 2024, my stalker puts me in a group chat, which includes my stalker, Lindsay and Lori. June 18th, 2024, my stalker is driving through my hometown and she is asking to come visit. And so I take her kids to the neighborhood pool. July of 2024, I have now officially hired Lindsay as a producer, as an independent contractor. It's more full time. And we have daily production meetings in the morning along with John. And she is helping to produce my podcast episodes. She explains she is going to also work for this said public figure that I connected her to, and that she thinks we can pull off working for both. I tell her, okay, I am super happy.
I do not disagree. I do not disagree. There are a lot of tragedies and stresses in Lauren's life. These need to be figured in. Her brother's death, her husband's health, her mom's in hospice, and she has MS. Anna, I totally agree with that. Where I have a hard time is going so far with this. No, this is a different Lori. I do know her last name, but I don't want to put it out. But it is not Lori Vallow, and it's not Lori Hellis. It's another Lori. So, absolutely. I agree with that as well, Deb. I do. I think you're right. Thanks, Jessica. Found you from Lana. I'm a mod for in the Karen Reed. Oh, I'm from Boston. So the Karen Reed. All right. Here's her timeline of this. This is her timeline. May of 2024, a public figure asked about a podcast producer. Could she recommend anybody? And she did. She recommended Lindsay. Lindsay has been a podcast producer for several people. Um, my understanding is she has a very good reputation as far as what she does. So, June 8th of 2024, Christina, who's become friends with them, adds Lauren, Lindsay, and herself, everybody in a group chat. Now, at that point, Lauren could have said, I'm not really friendly with these guys. Get me out of here. I don't want to be in here. What are they doing putting me in these chats? No, 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 no. She didn't. She stayed in it. June 18th, Christina is driving through and asks Lauren to come by, according to Lauren. According to not Lauren, and I won't say who, but according to not Lauren, um, I just got to get to the actual part. She says it's June. Okay. This is long. My goodness. For several months, they communicated. Lauren and Christina, they did become friends. Christina noticed red flags, and Christina alleges that Lauren told her a lot of strange things about friends, in laws. She started questioning Lauren's ethics in getting and keeping confidential information. She's at this point thinking, why the hell is this woman telling me this stuff? Why? If they weren't close, why was she telling her these things that she has no right to tell her? But she was. Okay, fine. They all became friends. Christina and others all traveled together. They were invited by Lauren from April of 2024 through the end of the winter uh, to different various things. Lauren also invited Christina to her house. Lauren saying, I didn't invite her. She was driving through and kind of invited herself. So it feels like a very he said, she said type of situation. Okay. She claims she hired Lindsay as a full time producer while also referring her to the very large and popular other YouTuber, journalist, channel holder. But you later say you wanted somebody solely for Hidden True Crime, but you just recommended the person you have to this other job. It's like you can't have it both ways there either. Okay.
in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And due to concerns of cost, Santa Fe ain't cheap, it's expensive. Lindsay recruits my stalker and Lori to share an Airbnb with us to help keep down the costs. And then I tell John this, and he's reassured. I say, look, we've got a couple of trial people I met at a trial, these trial goers that are going to come with us and help keep down the cost of this larger Airbnb in Santa Fe. July 10th, 2024, in the morning, July 10th, 2024. July 10th was a big day. I'm outside of the courthouse of the Alec Baldwin trial, and I interview I interview several people that day, so I don't want anyone confused. There are 3 lives that day. I don't want anyone, but one of the many people I interview live on camera that day is my stalker, and I introduce her as a fan of my podcast, A Hidden Gem. I personally did not think it went great for content. No harm, no foul. It happens. And then that day continues of July 10th, 2024. And at this time, my ex contractor, who was my then contractor and friend, so my contractor at the time of July 10th, 2024, she is streaming the Alec Baldwin trial live on our YouTube channel for us while I am in the media room at the courthouse covering it, and she's there. And I reach out to this ex contractor, again, my contractor at the time, let's clarify that. I reach out to my contractor who's live streaming the Alec Baldwin trial, and I ask how things are going with the streaming. I discuss work in a text with this ex-employee, ex-contractor, excuse me, then contractor. And I explained that I like this press room for the moment before heading to the courtroom because, and I'm going to say this verbatim, this is what my text says to her, quote, it's space from roommates. One of them is kind of annoying. This contract worker then asks if it was the one I had had on a live that morning in front of the courthouse. And I explain that it was. The contract worker states back to me in a text message, not going to lie, that person is obnoxious. Don't put her on camera again, laughing face emoji. I agree. And I say she is constantly anxious, loud, and worried. End quote. A very private work conversation in a text message. July 10th, 2025, that evening, the contract worker calls me and unexpectedly and angrily quits on me and also ends our relationship for good, as in is never going to talk to me again and is going to block me. She accuses me of several things. She worked for.
Are you paying attention to that part? She's got all of these people staying at the Airbnb. One of them wants Grayson to go home or something. The other one doesn't want to work with this one. That one doesn't want to do this. They don't want to do all the things. They're all acting like children at this point. But then out of nowhere, the person who's back at home doing this live streaming calls her and accuses her of several things when she had just spoken to her about how the live stream was going. But then she calls her and is like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm never going to speak to you again. Where in God's name did that come from? Listen to it one more time. I've listened to it several times and thought, what? What is this? Am I crazy?
In a text with this ex-employee. 10th, 2024. July 10th was a big day. I'm outside of the courthouse of the Alec Baldwin trial, and I interview I interview several people that day, so I don't want anyone confused. There are 3 lives that day. I don't want anyone, but one of the many people I interview live on camera that day is my stalker, and I introduce her as a fan of my podcast, A Hidden Gem. I personally did not think it went great for content. No harm, no foul. It happens. And then that day continues of July 10th, 2024. And at this time, my ex contractor, who was my then contractor and friend, so my contractor at the time of July 10th, 2024, she is streaming the Alec Baldwin trial live on our YouTube channel for us while I am in the media room at the courthouse covering it, and she's there. And I reach out to this ex contractor, again, my contractor at the time, let's clarify that. I reach out to my contractor who's live streaming the Alec Baldwin trial, and I ask how things are going with the streaming. I discuss work in a text with this ex-contractor, then contractor. And I explained that I like this press room for the moment before heading to the courtroom because, and I'm going to say this verbatim, this is what my text says to her, quote, "It's space from roommates. One of them is kind of annoying." This contract worker then asks if it was the one I had had on a live that morning in front of the courthouse. And I explain that it was. The contract worker states back to me in a text message, not going to lie, that person is obnoxious. Don't put her on camera again, laughing face emoji. I agree. And I say she is constantly anxious, loud, and worried. End quote. A very private work conversation in a text message. July 10th, 2025, that evening, the contract worker calls me and unexpectedly and angrily quits on me.
Okay. Let's make up a name for this contract worker. Mary. We're just making up a name. I don't know. Mary is streaming for her because she's at the Rust trial. Mary, she texts her, "How are things going?" Mary replies, "Everything's good." "How are you doing?" And Lauren says, "Good. I like being here because it's away from the Airbnb where Christina is annoying and anxious and worrisome, and I don't like it." Mary says, "Oh, is Christina the one you had online this morning?" And Lauren says, "Yes, that's her." And Mary says, "Don't ever have her on again." Laughing face. And Lauren agrees. Lauren says this was all work related. Okay, sure. You're calling people annoying and all the things, and yet you're staying with them, which is two-faced again, but okay. Then, out of nowhere, Mary, who's supposed to be doing the live stream for you, quits and calls you all of the things and says you've done all of the things. And this is out of nowhere. How? How? Why? Why? What happened here that this person just was like, "Never again, bitch. You've done all the things. Goodbye." I don't understand. Maybe it's not meant for us to understand. Maybe we'll never hear who this contractor is. I don't know, but I find it very strange.
What?
I'm just here for you.
Oh.
I'm just here for you.
This is also Christina. Christina and I were at the Daybell trial together,
Yeah.
and so you were here.
I'm here for her. Just moral support.
Moral support.
Just kidding. Here
No,
to also see it too.
You
And
want to
moral
see,
support.
yeah, and you're
Let's
interested.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see.
I mean,
So,
I feel like you should show our conversation last night about how I feel.
I did. Yeah. So, well, that's a great example. I will share a little bit, but I won't share.
You can share how I feel.
Okay. So, well, do you want to share how you feel? I was like, why don't you
Here's
share?
the deal.
Why do I? If you're here, you.
I went to CrimeCon, basically for you because you couldn't go. Just kidding. But
That is true. Actually, my ticket that's actually someone gifted me went to Christina.
was gifted to me.
Because I couldn't end up going to CrimeCon because I wanted to stay for the full Chad Daybell trial and the sentencing, which happened during CrimeCon. So Christina, who I met at a hidden gem, who I met at the Chad Daybell trial, went in my place. All right.
Okay. I'm on live right now explaining why you need to come because you're my opposite. Explaining why.
Okay, well,
There's a possibility.
I put my voice
Here's
and
the
memo
deal.
on record yesterday while some people were debating about this trial.
At
A lot of strong
CrimeCon,
emotions.
at CrimeCon, there was a Rust panel, and we have another friend back here who does not agree with this opinion.
You all realize who this is on the screen that you're watching, right? This is the stalker. This is Christina. They are there together. Well, I do have a lot of that other side of it, Glare. I was sent a bunch of documentation. I've heard a lot of things. And I do believe the other side will eventually come out, but I don't feel like it's my, I feel like I'd be violating the people who sent this to me. But at the same time, in reading all of it, there are two clearly different sides. Well, more than two clear different sides to this. At the very end of it all, what do I get? That they thought they were friends with Lauren. And when they weren't, they all realized together at the same time, what? She's been doing this to all of us? Why? Why? No, I can't say. I wish I could say. And, that's weird as well. I don't know who I got them from. They were sent to me. I did find out one of the people, and, they asked to be kept anonymous. And I said, absolutely. So I've read things, I've listened to things, I've looked through things now. There are two sides to every story. There just are. So would I have wanted to have a friend like this that I'm working with? No. Echo. Hello? Hello? There's no echo. Sound is fine. Hello, hello. But just so you're aware, this is her. This is the woman she is terrified of.
He explained how with the old-fashioned guns, if you had your finger on the trigger and you pulled the hammer back, it didn't allow the switch to go in, and letting go of the hammer would make it shoot. When I explained that to my father, who is into guns, he said, oh, think about the old-fashioned movies, how they would just pull the hammer and it would just keep shooting the gun. So essentially, that made me ponder whether or not he did.
Pull the
or did
trigger.
not.
Whether
Pull
or
the
not
trigger. Yes.
whether or not Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger, which is a big part of this case. Oh, 1 second. Stay with me, guys. Someone with the media is here. And so, you know what? I'm going to take off because I got to go talk to
Talented art. It was there for me during a very traumatic moment. The end of July 2025, I hire my stalker. Talented art. It was there for me during a very traumatic moment. The end of
So she screws up and says, end of July 2025, she hires her stalker.
July 2025, I hire my stalker. It was Lindsay's suggestion to do podcast episode artwork for me. She's a very talented artist, my stalker. And this continues for months. In October of 2024, I cover a trial, as many of you know, in Delphi, Indiana, with Lindsay. And I am paying Lindsay daily to be there for me. In my opinion, I was paying her well to be there for me daily. And I'm also paying, it's an all expense paid work trip. I am paying for all of her lodging and all of her food and everything she needs to work for me. My stalker flies out to attend as public for a couple of days and pays me to stay in my Airbnb that I had. And she takes photos of me outside of the courthouse in Delphi, Indiana for my podcast. I did not pay her for these photos. It's an additional free gift for me. I buy her dinner. I confide in Lindsay, admittedly, that it is harder to work when my stalker is around. She seems kind and is very generous, but it's just a lot. And after my stalker flies home, I temporarily go home as well for Halloween because I need to trick or treat with my little boy. But I do decide that I need to go back to Delphi, Indiana. While I am gone, Grayson, who you guys now know as my producer, Grayson, takes notes for me in the courthouse while I'm gone. She does an incredible job, a hell of a job. Couldn't have done them better myself. I didn't do them as good as she did them those 2 days that I was gone. And I begin paying Grayson for freelance work, including those notes. I then, back in Delphi, I start noticing a lot of red flags. And these are red flags for me. They might not affect everyone. Some people might not think they're red flags. Other people think maybe I misinterpreted them. It doesn't matter. These are red flags that affected me and concerned me and the way that I work and the way I function. One of them was that Lindsay wanted Grayson to stay in a separate Airbnb than the one I had with plenty of room. And Grayson was working for me. She was young. She was alone. And I was paying for the lodging. And that was a concern to me. I suggested maybe that Lindsay get her own hotel if she needed space, and that upset her too.
I will say, from what I've heard, this is untrue again. Yes, Lindsay did want Grayson. She did not want to share the same space at that time. She felt it was business, not, you know, vacation. And she did speak to Lauren about it. And Lauren acted to both of them like she had their back. Okay. So she did not, allegedly, this is the other side of the coin. She did not say, no, you go get your hotel. And who's lying, who's telling the truth, I don't know, because I don't know either of these people. But there is another side to it where it was said, yeah, it probably did go a little bit hard on Grayson, but work. Welcome, J2. So, and in the other person's opinion, welcome, Ruthless Judy. She was being two-faced again. Now, Grayson and Lindsay know each other. So were Grayson and Lindsay going to compare notes? Probably. Hey, Onyx. Good to see you.
I just couldn't figure this out. It was a dynamic that was hard for everyone. It's just what, and like I said, she likely had her reasons too. It's fair. But I had my reasons, and this was becoming uncomfortable for me. Another thing I learned that Lindsay did was take my phone, and without my permission, she logs into YouTube Studio and learns how much I am making that month. And she shares this with Grayson. Something else that made me uncomfortable. And there were a few other things. Lindsay is also working for another creator while I am paying for her to be there working for me full time, and I'm paying all of her expenses, and she is passing off material that I had.
What? You're the one who recommended her. What? So that hit me strangely. You know that she's also doing work for other people. So I just don't get it. She did. She paid $1,800 for the package to go to CrimeCon, and she paid for them. I can tell you exactly when, actually. I want to say it was like November the year before, but no, June of 2024, those tickets were purchased. So as of June 2025, Lauren still didn't have her total plans for CrimeCon. So that's a whole year later. I mean, I would think, shit, I want to be there. And I made sure my tickets were purchased. Why do you have more of a right to be there than I do, especially when I've paid a whole year and a half ago? It's not fair. So
requested her to collect to other creators to be used for other shows. These were things that made me uncomfortable. I'm not even teach their own. Maybe there's a misunderstanding. Doesn't matter. They were things that made me uncomfortable. There were other red flags for me, personal red flags. Once we were back from Delphi, I decided to terminate things with Lindsay after the Delphi trial ended. I ended things very nicely and respectfully. She's very talented. And I realized that I needed someone exclusive. Someone after experiencing what I did in Delphi with, realizing that she was a contract worker and that she was sharing and helping other creators, that, I realized that Hidden True Crime needed someone exclusive.
I just find this very strange. These people are friends at this time. They're not just coworkers. They're not just working together. They are friendly. They're very friendly. And this was a very nice email to terminate somebody. I thought that it was handled really well. I don't understand why it didn't come along with the conversation, but perhaps she didn't want to open herself up for liability. But either way, it's fine. It is what it is. Who's in the wrong? Well, that's a big question, Rachel. What body say? I think she thought she would receive an invite and may not. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. When I went as a podcaster and we didn't have to buy tickets, but I've gone another time where you do have to buy tickets. So if you're invited to speak or to be on Podcast Row or whatever, the prices are different. Everything's different. I mean, of course, you still have to pay for your hotel and all of that stuff. It's not cheap, but it appears that Christina and others purchased their packages, their tickets, and Christina paid $1,800. I agree. I think she was going to think she was going to get a speaker pass, but you weren't a speaker. So you're not going to just get a pass. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, we have to look at what CrimeCon is too. It is a business, but it does a lot of good. It really does a lot of good. And does it have an entertainment factor? Sure. But I mean, I got to meet so many different families who were there to get their stories out for their family members. And without that experience, I never would have been able to do that. I was able to connect with the women from Black and Missing, how amazing they are. And then I got to meet my favorite podcasters, which was huge for me. And they teach you about all different technologies and ways to go about research and other things. So yes, there is a minor entertainment element to it, like having the guy who says, "Hi, what are you doing here?" She's 13. I can't think of his name. That guy. Um, Steve Wilkos was there. That was like, being on TV or something. So that was interesting, but it is very serious. The panels of victims and families, that is very serious. CrimeCon is not just to go and be like, "Oh, I love crime." No, it is very serious. It's a very serious event. Yes, you have fun. You get to meet people. I've met Trish from Web Sleuths. We did coffee. We did lunch. We did all the things. It was very interesting. The military moms that I got to meet and hear their stories, that was amazing. So it is something, but you also have a lot of downtime. So you can sit and have these conversations. And you also want to believe, here's my conundrum with the whole thing and why I'm even covering any of this. You do want to believe that the people you watch and listen to, such as Lauren, Stephanie Harlow, Anjanette Levy, Justin Lum, Nate Eaton, all the people. You want to believe they're telling you the truth. You want to believe they're coming to you as non biased and fair as they can. A lot of people don't watch mainstream anymore. They go to Twitter, they go to YouTube, they go wherever, TikTok, Facebook. And if you're out there reporting on a story, you want to believe you're getting the story in an unbiased manner. That's your job. Your job is not to become super duper close with everybody and then report it biasly. I thought Lauren did pretty decent job with that. But you also want to believe that the people that you're watching have some morals, some decency, some humanity, that when they're making friends, they're cherishing those friendships and dealing with them in a good way. If today, have Glara and I ever met? No. But what if I went to Glara and was talking about Gray Hughes while I was in Vegas at CrimeCon? What if I was texting Glara like, oh, I can't fucking stand him. He is making me crazy, man. And what if later Glara put those messages out? I would look like a scumbag because I'm telling Gray he's wonderful. Everything's great here. But I'm telling Glara, oh, I can't stand him either, man. I can't stand him. Wouldn't you think less of me and be like, what the fuck? You were pretending all this time? It's not a good look. It's just not.
Exclusive producer that didn't want to work for multiple people. And so I told her that I was excited for her to work with this other larger podcast and this public figure. And here's a termination letter. I want you guys to see it. I want to show it so that I need people to know. And it's very small. So let me see if I can get it and read it.
Me either. I do not like a two-faced person. So this is the letter. After careful and deliberate consideration, and after reflecting upon the changing dynamics as you work for other true crime podcasts, John and I realized that it would be too difficult to navigate conflicts of interest that we need any current future employees, etc. You can watch this on her stream, but it was very nice. Nothing wrong with it.
I later, just so you know, one other aspect of this, months and months later, I did send Lindsay a cease and desist. I had heard that she had been saying some things that I consider defamation to several of my professional contacts. One text that was sent to me stated that I went psycho on her and that I am manic, and other things from another creator that Lindsay was saying about me, things that were not true. I sent her that cease and desist and requested that simply she cease and desist about speaking about her time as my producer. I feel like this sets the stage for everything else to come when my life then becomes a living hell.
Okay. The friendship part and the working part, for the most part, ended between Lindsay and Lauren, the end of 2024. At that point, Lindsay was working for somebody else, just like we saw in that letter. Now, sometime in April of 2025, there were some conversations that were had. And in April, Lauren sent Lindsay the cease and desist. And it made various accusations against Lindsay and demanded that she cease speaking publicly about her whatsoever. And it accused her of actions she says she absolutely did not commit and felt it was sent to her to threaten her. So, she also made some other claims that people were hacking into her iCloud and extorting her. There was police report. The police found no evidence of that, from what I can understand. And then there were cease and desist sent out to many people. So at that point, I don't know who was talking about her. Perhaps Christina and Lori and Lindsay were having conversations, and somehow it got back to Lauren, and Lauren didn't like it. I don't know. So April 9th, Christina confronts Lauren at the Maricopa County Court while Lauren was reporting on the Lori Daybell trial. So what do I have on that from the other side? What I have is Let's see here. Very strange behaviors here. My goodness. So there was an invoice sent out to Christina. Christina sent the invoice to Lauren, the end of the working relationship, really, which was March of 2025. Then they unexpectedly met here at this courthouse. Lauren called out Christina's name and came towards her like, hey, hey, Gray, you have a wrench. If anybody's being rude to you, delete the messages. During the conversation, Lauren did admit that she did say some negative things, but she was attempting to justify them. During that, she also said that she recorded because she did not want Lauren misrepresenting what they were talking about.
Love you and I'm sorry. Thank you for talking to me. I have a lot to process about myself and my actions. She thanked me for being vulnerable and vulnerable about myself. I said, everything I love about you is real and sincere. Everything I judged you for before I gave you a chance, I was wrong. Unfortunately, you can't erase words and they hurt. I'll forever regret the things I said and thought. But the truth is, I defend you to the moon and back forever, and I do. But
let me say this. Do you see this message here? I love you and I am sorry. Thank you for talking to me. I have a lot to process about myself and my actions. Thanks for letting me be vulnerable and being vulnerable about yourself. She goes on to say, everything I love about you is real and sincere. Now, I told you that I watched the Patreon, and what I gathered from the Patreon and from the live stream was the girls, thought they were all closer than they were, that this relationship had progressed further for them than it did for Lauren, and that Lauren simply never fit into what they wanted her to be. But if you read this, what does this say to you? This says to me, everything I love about you is real and sincere. I love you. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Unfortunately, you can't erase words and they hurt. I'll forever regret the things I said and thought. But the truth is, I'd defend you to the moon and back forever, and I do. But I realize it will take a long time to earn your trust if I ever earn it again. And if I don't, I understand. I was so wrong. No matter what, no matter where our paths lead, I'll forever defend you and call you a dear friend with the biggest heart I know. I'd do anything for you if you ever needed me. Now, I will say again, I listened to the Patreon and she 1,000,000% said right here, we all weren't friends. It couldn't be about competition. This person is not she's not she's an artist. She does artwork. She's not a person who's in this. Hey, we're not talking about Kirk in here, and we're not going to be disrespectful in my chat. I want it to stop right now. Right now. We're focused on this situation, not Charlie, not who likes who. Enough. Yeah, Jessica, I did notice that. It doesn't have everything on here, but it does line up with the dates. It does line up. This is the same day that they met in the courthouse in Arizona. So this does match up. But what doesn't match up is what's being said, that they weren't really friends. Well, do you love a strange person that you don't even know? Why are you telling her you love her? You guys were great friends. You'll do all the things. It doesn't make any sense to me personally. If you're telling me you love me, you respect me, you'll defend me, you'll do all of this, and then this comes out, on your Patreon, it's very strange to me. Either you were really good friends or you were not.
I realize it will take a long time to earn your trust if I ever earn it again. And if I don't, I understand. I was so wrong. But I know that no matter where our paths lead in life, I know I'll forever defend you and call you a dear friend with the biggest heart I know. I'd do anything for you if you ever need me. And then, oddly, we'll talk about some other stuff after that. We'll talk about this in Grayson's declaration. But I also did leave court early that day because I had a panic attack about private texts of mine perhaps being released because people were angry at me.
I'm sorry, I need to pause for a second. I said delete comments, not hide people. What in the hell is going on in my chat right now? That is ridiculous. No, you're not going to block anybody. Don't do that. Is it handled, Skilo? Thank you. You unblocked people. I mean, it's fine. Just block them personally so that you're not seeing them. Or I don't know what the hell you need to do, but don't do that here. My goodness.
I had suspicions for months, but it took me way too long to realize that almost everything this ex-friend told me was a lie. She had friends who ended their friendship with her 2 months into the start of my friendship with her. Afterwards, she would casually say things like, "Man, if my text messages between them were ever released, that would be bad." But you know how we all view things through our own lens? I brushed it off. I'd laugh and say, "Oh girl, I'm sure you have nothing to worry about." Because honestly, if my texts ever got released, they'd just expose how terrible I am at even reading or replying to texts. But here's the thing. What was she actually worried about? That involved other people, and until they're ready to share their side, I'm going to leave that part alone for now. Just know, it was really bad. It was freaking bad. It was bad. That was my final straw. The red flags had been stacking up for months, but this confirmed everything. I knew I didn't want that energy or that type of friend in my life. So I decided next time I saw her in person, I'd confront her. And when that moment finally came, what happened next? I've truly never experienced anything like it.
Sorry. I'm not answering that right now, Gray.
I gave her a hug and I said, "I now know why you were so worried about the text messages between you and your ex-friends. They are way worse than anything I could have ever imagined. I was rooting for you and you were talking about me." Now, I thought she'd be so shocked that I read the horrible, awful, manipulative, crazy things that she did. It would be a mic drop moment and we wouldn't have to talk about it. She would go on her way, I'd go on my way, the end. No, I underestimated her. She wanted to talk about it. She wanted to have a chat. I was a little bit bummed that my narrative and her story wasn't creative like some of the other things that she had just come up with out of thin air. But she wanted to talk about it, and that's a story for another day. So like I said, she wanted to talk then, which totally caught me off guard, but I thought, okay, fine, let's see what she has to say. And what unfolded next was unreal. It was like watching someone trapped in their own maze of lies, spinning stories so fast she couldn't even keep up with herself. When one lie didn't land, she'd just pivot mid-sentence into a completely different one, like no shame, just constant spinning. And at one point, she literally started mumbling under her breath, having an entire conversation by herself while I was just standing there.
You should have at least done your makeup, Jody. Gosh.
Yeah, because and then, right, like, and by the way, that started, they were, like, it's, like, and I was like, would they do that to me? Like, anyway. Yeah, no, I know. So in many ways, I feel catfish, but it's.
And then in 1 second, she snapped and was like, "Oh, sorry, back to you."
But back to you.
And this is the part that killed me. She told me that we had to have that conversation right now because I kept repeating, "You're in fight, flight, or freeze. Probably not the best time to talk." But she said, "No, we have to talk now. My assistant is, quote, always with me. I'm never alone," unquote. Girl, no. I honestly think she just didn't want her assistant finding out what she'd done.
Liz, let me remind you, Liz, I know you don't
Okay. So you heard Lauren's side, you heard Christina's side. Christina was never her employee. Christina does artwork. She made artwork. That's all she did. And she billed her for it. They were friends as far as she was concerned. They were buddies. And as you saw, Lauren was telling her she loved her and she would defend her to the end of time and all of the things. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Gray, please. Can we just move on? Let's just move on. Now, Liz's threatening email. This was really a voicemail. This was really strange. Do you guys think that this was a threatening email? A threatening voicemail, not email, voicemail. I'm getting all thrown off, and I swear to God.
Recall my name, but I actually think you do recall my name. But I'd like to talk to you for a second. I'd like to talk to you about number one, I guess, why you don't remember my name. But number two, I'd like to talk to you about why you are so upset about texts that you have sent to me in group chats about other people who I'm sure you don't. I'm sure it's hard to admit that you have said those things about those people. But I want to clear it up with you. So I would appreciate if you would call me back. No, not trying to be threatening or anything.
So like I
I would
said,
truly
she
like to
wanted to talk
clarify
then
maybe where
with
I'm missing something. So if you would please give me a call back, I would appreciate it. My number is, and my name is Liz, L-I-Z. In case you don't remember, Liz, L-I-Z. Don't want to.
So at this moment, I'm having a panic attack about text messages being released. I'm worried about a friend whose feelings I've hurt. I'm worried about the potential of what this means. Thank you. I'm not trying to be threatening, is exactly that. It's threatening. And I am worried that a vulnerable conversation that I just had with somebody in a courthouse now was recorded and being shared to people who might be calling me and threatening me.
What? Now, she says she's worried that whatever Christina just recorded in the courthouse on April 9th, which Christina played, was recorded and people are now calling and threatening you? Liz just wants to know why you don't remember her name. She says you do, and that you've sent her text messages. And I'm baffled. Maybe my level of panic or being scared is different. I don't know. Who's annoying you, Wendy? What happened? What is happening in this chat? I apologize. Hold on, please. Messages show up here differently than they do on the screen. I'm not going to ask again. I'm really not. I'm going to start blocking if we can't stay focused on this. Okay? So after getting this Liz voicemail, which she felt was very threatening, she said, "Hey, I would appreciate you not talk about our private conversations, which you described as vulnerable with other people. I've done this for you." This is all the same day, but now it's like 8:50 at night. "I've done this for you, yet I'm already getting calls about things I said to you in confidence, and I feel threatened. Do not screenshot or share private conversations that are meant to be private. Do not share things I've said to you in private because they are considered private. And I reiterate, this is becoming threatening." Christina says, "Lauren, I can confidently say what you're claiming is false. I haven't talked to anyone about our conversation. As for your other request, I think you already know I'm not the one you need to be worried about when it comes to sharing private conversations. I'll be honest, receiving this message, especially with accusations and threats, put salt in the wounds. I didn't expect this from you." A couple of days later, someone posted this on Reddit. Lauren says they tracked it back to Christina. Quote, "Supposedly Lauren poached blank's employee, and the employee is recycling scripts she did for blank for Lauren. Not sure if this is one of those cases, but a friend of mine overheard the girls she poached from blank talk about it at one of the trials." So I do know who blank is, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. That person would need to come out and discuss it. Why was the most shocking part so far? Did she sign an NDA? I don't believe so. I don't, maybe. I don't know though. Now, the rumors were, whether they still are or not, again, those podcasters, those people with very large podcasts and large channels would need to come out and discuss this. It is heartbreaking to me that we would go from friends to you thinking I'd participate in plagiarism. I would never. And for you to think that, you should report me. To post this on a public forum is shocking. I don't know what I did to deserve this. I am apologetic for the things I initially thought about you as I got to know you. Yes, I made mistakes, misjudgments, but that doesn't make me a liar. I'm not a cheat. I am not someone who plagiarizes other work or poaches employees." So that is a sticking point, from my understanding, between Lauren and other people. Remember, Lauren says she was blacklisted or she was ignored at the Brandon Boudreaux trial, that she's lost work over this, that other podcasters are believing these things. And again, I would ask you to sit back and think about your own relationship with people. If I could easily write to somebody and say, the Galera did this, this, and this, and not me, let's say St. Elmo's Fire writes to me and says, the Galera did these things, I would immediately reach out to the Galera and say, did you do these things? I would not attack the Galera without knowing for sure. And if I then went to other creators and said, you need to blacklist him because St. Elmo's Fire told me that he did these things. No, that's not how business works. This isn't just gossip in a chat, it's business. It doesn't make sense to me that all of this happened. You're going on Reddit posts and looking at Reddit for one comment and then taking it back and putting it in a stalking filing? It is very strange. It's very, very strange. I can go search myself on Reddit right now and find things, and I am tiny, and I barely go live. So to me, this is all very weird. As far as this Reddit post goes, many creators were asked to cover blank at the same time. Blank did not copy me. This whole post is unnecessary, but the comment from you crushes me. Why? I am heartbreaking. You would think this and write this. Is it okay to protect my business and ask you not to post my private convos? Yes. But what I did to deserve this, I have no idea. If people are lying about me, they are lies. This is not who I am. So she's just defending herself here, which I understand. After that interaction, she tells Christina she's feeling very unsafe, threatened, and she blocks her. Okay. Lauren blocks Christina. Christina then says these are Lauren's words, she sends an aggressive email. Christina claims it was one of Lauren's mods who made the post and not her. Lauren, this is April 21st. Lauren, I was going to text you this directly, but it looks like it didn't go through. I'm guessing you blocked me. If that's the case, it's totally fine. Just be real about it. Hitting block after starting a fire doesn't make you a victim, it makes you a coward. On top of that, you're really out here playing victim while casually coaching someone on how to trash something. Reddit, bold move, especially for someone who loves to preach about integrity every 5 minutes. But hey, maybe encouraging anonymous hit pieces is part of your brand. I wouldn't know. I've been too busy minding my business and not anonymously running smear campaigns in the comment section. Also, fun twist. I now know that the Reddit comment came from one of your own mods, and still you claim it as your own when bragging to your old friends. So either you're lying to them or you're lying now. Take your pick. Do you prefer hypocrite or liar? A text Lauren then sent to Christina. I've never rewritten history. I've acknowledged what I've done. I've apologized, acknowledged your hurt. I've never taken that back or pretended otherwise. Even in my initial text today, I'm not afraid to own my mistakes as I am honest, imperfect person and trying to be self-aware. Pointing out words written on your public account with a request you don't publicly defame me and sharing it hurts me in no way rewrites history or disregards what I've apologized for. We agree to be done disengaging. Just let's not engage anymore. Okay. Does it stay that way? No, it doesn't stay that way because Lauren blocks and unblocks Christina multiple times. Lauren last texted Christina April 22nd, 2025. Christina hasn't texted Lauren since March of 2025. They've not communicated directly or indirectly since April 21st, 2025. However, allegedly, Lauren unblocked Christina in August of 2025 to delete some things. Grayson's reached out as well, from my understanding. How true that is, I don't know. Ugh. So, when someone tells me to stop engaging, this is her. When someone tells me to stop engaging, my response is to stop. But you continue to harass me in emails, although I've blocked you. You're misinformed about blank. I never wrote an anonymous hit piece about blank. That was written quite openly. Yes, a mod, someone who attended the trial daily. She was correcting factual information and made a case regarding something that I never covered. It was not a hit piece. It doesn't hide her identity, nor did I ever anonymously write factual corrections from court. That was blank. I was supporting my friend, nothing more, nothing less. I'm not sure how that has anything to do with smearing someone. Journalists typically adhere to factual analysis, unlike your correspondence, which is creating false and defamatory narratives about me based on a distortion of the facts and a misattribution of a post that I never wrote. But why let facts get in the way of your far-fetched and false narratives? I blocked you and agreed to stop engaging, but I guess you have to have the last word because apparently you have no flaws and never have made a mistake. So I will ask you again. Please do not contact me. The fact that you contact me after I block you leads me to question my safety. Are you going to show up at my home next, since you know where I live, and berate me until you believe your false narrative about me are proven? I'm also asking you to stop posting lies and false information about me, which negatively impact my business. If you continue to harass me, I request I will be forced to take legal action. Welcome, Unsolved Amy Boston. Okay.
into the courthouse. That was my goal. The doors were right there. And unfortunately, I got scared and stopped. But play the first video I have. Are you recording me? Please do. And please. So that was the first one. Unfortunately, my nervousness, it ended. I want you to know, too, that Janice later wrote a declaration. And in her declaration to the court, she actually stated that I approached her.
Please do not talk to me. I feel threatened.
Well, I'm talking about the stuff you said.
Please do not talk to me. I feel threatened.
Okay, I feel threatened by the things you're saying about me.
So then let's stay away from each other. I think that you're a bully. Please stay away. I feel threatened.
Oh, really, Lauren?
Okay. So then on June 19th, 2025, I received word.
Sheesh. Thank you, Greg.
That things were going to go public and that people wanted my head on a platter. And that is a quote. There are a lot of people that are really pissed off and they want my head on a platter. And here he is. Here he is. Here it is. Now, this is a creator that Grayson called, and this is verbatim from them on June 19th. The only thing that I can tell you.
This is from a creator? This? Very strange. You're new here, Mary. Hi, all new here because of the glare. Here's my question. Define stalking. Huh. Well, in Utah, stalking is defined as... It's very strange in Utah, I'll tell you that. Very strange. Can you see that? Yeah. It's very different. Must the victim tell the defendant to stop in order to constitute stalking? No. Is stalking by proxy included? Yes. Is technology facilitated stalking covered by regular stalking statutes and accompanying case law? Yes. Do the stalking laws have a resident requirement? There is no resident requirement. So you can live in totally different states, which is very interesting to me. Are there any unique provisions, elements, or requirements? No. Graduation of crimes. Stalking is a second-degree felony in Utah, a third under the Utah Code, and a misdemeanor under a different Utah Code. What aggravating circumstances elevate it? Has previously been convicted of a felony, has a permanent criminal stalking injunction, used a weapon, those kinds of things. You know, that's pretty normal. But up here at the very top, it says the offender must... Remy's a member. You silly girl. Oh, thank you, Doodles. What types of threats? There is no required threat, but it can be part of a course of conduct. They can be direct, indirect, or through a third party. It's very, very interesting to me. It does not need to be a threat of violence at all. Doesn't. They must intentionally and knowingly engage in a course of conduct. Okay? Contacting the person's employer, coworkers, neighbors, tenant, communicating with a friend, family member, or associate. So was the RO, the temporary RO, very easy to get in Utah? Yes, it was. And she got it easily by just showing a few things. So, this is a creator, which I found really baffling. Listen, I don't know who this creator is. The only thing I can tell you is there are so many people right now that are pissed off calling for her head on a platter. It's pretty much the message I can get. And then they use really here. Really, 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 really pissed off. I mean, I guess they're really pissed off. So this made her feel very unsafe, which, I mean, I guess if it got to another creator and they were going to expose me for something crazy that I did, I would feel sad, nervous, like, well, what the hell did I do or say? But instead of that, she called the police. She used this and called the police. Now that's June of 2025. Let me pull something up here that I have. Okay. June. Let me increase this. All right. June 19th. Okay. June 19th, the police report says phone number for Christina was a Google Voice number, left a voicemail. 322, Christina, the ex-contractor who worked for Lauren. I advised Lauren on the applicable laws and civil issues pertaining to the situation. The threats were vague, and there is no proof from a direct source that text messages had been shared by a specific person. In a follow-up conversation with Lauren, she mentioned the third-party contractor named Christina, who the ex-employee blank mentioned as well. Lauren also mentioned blank, who is known to do some hacking in the past and befriended Lauren recently. I don't know who the hacker is, but okay. Same day. Lauren, this is like a very long paragraph here. What the hell? Why is this so long? Oh, because it's all one continuous thing. I understand. Okay. Here we go. Ex-employees are suspected of sending encrypted emails threatening to expose Lauren's emails and text messages that could do harm to her, her business, and re-victimize victims that she's worked with in the past. No non-disclosure NDAs with employees. Lauren had shared some passwords. What? With ex-employees, some media persons advised that they received some copies of emails, texts from another party. Only one email sent to Lauren advising of putting information out to the media, claiming Lauren is not being truthful. The email came from a Proton account. The victim is concerned about an iCloud and Gmail possibly being hacked. Advised victim of Electronic Communication Privacy Act laws. She names other employees. Okay. There is further clarification. No emails from Gmail are hacked or shared. No iCloud hacked. Text messages saved via screenshot between victim and suspect during employment. I did not find extortion or threats pertaining to this situation. Info on cyber harassing laws, using text messages for cyber stalking, which includes publishing or distributing information to increase the risk of harm or violence, is in a category C felony in Nevada. In summary, sharing text messages with a third party without the consent of all involved parties could be considered unlawful and may lead to criminal charges. Okay? To simplify, the victim, Lauren, believes the suspect, ex-employee blank, sent company personal texts content to third party. No direct proof. Lauren is concerned if text messages are released to the public that her reputation will suffer and the victims of the crimes that she's worked in the past will be re-victimized. Most info is third party and hearsay. Blank was sent a cease and desist order from Lauren's lawyer on 4/9. Text messages have supposedly been shared with third-party contractor and Blank after the cease and desists. I attempted to contact Blank and Blank with requesting a call back. Advised she had not shared, Blank advised me she had not shared info and text with anyone. She was concerned it could be Lauren's newer friends. The newer friend / employee had contacted her to ask about working relationships. She thinks Lauren does not know who it is, so she keeps blaming the wrong people. Blank advised she received an anonymous email with past texts, where Lauren spoke poorly about her. There were a lot of other people tagged in the email. She believes Lauren's concerned about being exposed due to Lauren talking about other people, including victims, in her podcasts. Blank says this is all drama and she does not want to be part of it. Referenced hearing other things being said, but from or about people she doesn't even know. She advised she does not plan on doing anything with the information or texts. In follow up conversations with Lauren, she mentioned third party contractor named Christina, whom the ex employee Blank mentioned as well. Lauren also mentioned a Blank who is known to do some hacking. So, all of this. So, geez Louise. She gets this from a creator. She files a police report. The police looks into hacking and all the things and doesn't find anything. And she's like, I don't know. Yeah, no, it's not in here. I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
I call the police concerned about my ex-contractor sharing my text messages because that's all I can think. It's about to go public. And this podcast creator, we had learned, was reaching out to several of my professional contacts to state things about me that were false and defamatory. And we were told that. And we were also told that this podcast creator and my ex-contractor were talking. That's all I knew. And so when they heard everyone on my head on a platter and to expect things to go public, I called police out of fear and I requested police actually reach out to those two people because that's all I knew. And when the police officer reached out to those two people, my ex-contractor told the police the name of my stalker, and thus police called my stalker. I'm not sharing the name of my stalker, by the way, because unlike her, I don't believe in public shaming, and I'm not going to go send anyone to go find her.
I mean, obviously you don't know the case law off the top of your head. I have an officer calling me. Spouting something is the law. And I want to know what, like, so I can wait a second for sure. I know, but what's the case law? I want the case law, please.
And then you said you don't screenshot them.
So if you've been following this, you've all seen this. This is Christina, the one she calls her stalker. This cop calls her and says, you can't share screenshots. And she's like, okay, well, what is what's the law? Tell me the law. He's like, well, I don't know. Yeah, I got to look it up. I'm not sure what the law is, but there's a law. And she's like, okay, well, I want to know the law. I want to know the law. And he's like, well, I don't know. This was her description. Nevada cop can't answer basic question and was used by this ex-friend to make baseless accusations. Is this false reporting? Is this abuse of the legal system? Is this intimidation? Is it harassment? Is it weaponizing the police? I don't even live in Nevada. Which is true. If she doesn't even live there, like, what in the actual shit is going on? Yes, Gray. This is her. And she's never one time mentioned Lauren's name. Not ever. I've gone through all of her TikToks. I've looked at every single thing. And no, none of that has happened. So she asked the cop, like, what is the law? And he's like, I don't know. And she says, well, I can hold on. Can you go get it for me? But then it doesn't happen.
Created what is an Instagram account solely about me, where she continues to this day to post harmful things about me in an efforts to expose me. And she uses that. They're going to expose me. She posts like every other day. It's just been going on for months. She's obsessed with me. The first TikTok about me posted on her personal page. So she started out on her art page, her regular Instagram page. The first TikTok about me on her personal page, and later she decided to post it. She created a new page that was actually confirmed by Lindsay when she took the stand that this was created about me because she just didn't want it all on her art page. So they decided to start a separate page all about me. And the first TikTok about me posted on her personal page and later on her targeted page, so she posted it twice, is her telling her friends that I wanted to use my brother's sperm with an egg donor so that I or a surrogate could carry his baby. Before you play this, she is referring to my brother that died in March. My brother was in an accident. I loved him so much. My heart is broken. I was like his mother. He was born when I was 7 years old, and I loved him so much. And I didn't have to be covering these trials, these Daybell trials. My brother needed me. But I went because I wanted justice for the Daybell victims, and I cared. The first Daybell trial that I ever covered, he had been in his accident just the week before. And my family rushed to his side, and he was going to invest in hidden true crime. And I knew that he would want me to cover the trial. I knew he knew how much I cared about the victims in the Daybell case. And so instead of rushing to my brother's side in 2023, I went to the Lori Vallow trial instead. Because justice for JJ, Tylee, and Tammy was so important to me, and I knew that my little brother would want me there. His funeral, he died in March of this year, and his funeral was the end of March, just the week before I attended the Brandon Boudreaux trial. I was devastated. And I want everybody to know, by the way, at that Brandon Boudreaux trial, I was, at the end of it, shunned by everyone, and I didn't know what was going on, and I'm fast forwarding. We'll talk about that later.
Said she wanted to get her brother's sperm extracted from his body, an egg, and have either herself or a surrogate carry the baby, and then she raised it as her own so that his posterity could live on. One of the things that was a red flag that I should have seen, instead of chalking it up like, oh, that's a little weird, but whatever. So her brother got in an accident and he was in a coma, okay? So he is brain dead in a coma.
So is what she said horrible? Here? Sure. Here's what she posted. How could she do that without his consent is beyond me. Anyway, I couldn't wait to fill in my lifelong friends on some of the wild red flags I saw, but somehow ignored in a year-long friendship. My girl Courtney's reaction was the best. I felt bad for my ex-friend for like a half a second because she will never experience relationships like these. Girls that are genuine, have each other's back, girls that don't spread lies or rumors, girls that love to their core, girls that are ride or dies. But then I reminded that this ex-friend did this to herself. They're her calculated actions. She doesn't want relationships like this. It's her loss, and I refuse to feel bad. I had zero desire to go public with her actions until she started poking the bear and messing with amazing, kind humans. I'll explain more later. So I decided that silence was complicitness. I am not complicit. Again, this isn't gossip or drama. It's rooted in truth and facts, and I have the receipts. Keep this in mind. This was posted. Nobody knew who the hell this woman was, except for the people who knew the hell this woman was. If I ever came across this on TikTok as I was scrolling, I wouldn't know who the fuck this person was that she's talking about. Would you know who she was talking about? I wouldn't. I'd be like, what? That's weird. And I would just keep going on with my day. Well, here's where it's brought up. Okay. Was this ever discussed? Yes, it was. Lauren did discuss this with her family. That's true. Yes. Not carrying the baby herself. No. And I want to say, here are the comments under that video before Lauren did this live. Okay. I wouldn't believe this if I hadn't heard it with my own ears. Christina says, so wild, multiple people were told at multiple different times. So Christina's saying, I'm not the only one who was told this. Other people were told this at multiple different times. I'm pretty sure this would be a form of RAPE. Christina says, yeah, you may be right. The other person says, if it was true, which it wasn't. Now, that's 1 day ago. So ignore that. I'm saying prior to the 9-hour live. Wait, where does the R part of this come in? How would she get the sperm? And somebody does like big eyes.
Shown the people implying again the R word or assault and the non-consent, and people just mocking this idea. Very painful. I mean, the lack of empathy that these cyber bullies have.
So, am I downplaying what Christina said? No, it's not very nice. But I'm also saying Lauren's live brought so much more attention to this. I went back in time and looked like at what were the comments under this red flag video. There were this is it right here. This is it. Yikes. I'm so sorry. The third one, Christina's like, right? Like, how would the brother even give consent? How could that logistically happen? I still think I haven't processed this yet. The other one says, I'm more worried about her wanting to be pregnant by her brother than the consent. That's not a small issue. What the fuck? Somebody says, number 3, whoa. The other person, CJ Run, whoever that is, puts a flag. Sarah puts a flag. That's it. That's all that's on there. But when you're listening to Lauren talk about it, it's as though this went viral. Her name was in it. Everybody knew what she was talking about. But none of that is accurate. These things, there were like no views on this. There were no views on anything at all. And then all of a sudden it went crazy.
Guys, so the first part of, and we're good. We'll just keep reading. We'll get them one by one. The first part of my first clip of my voice was part of a conversation that we had in the courthouse on April 9th, 2025, despite the courthouse having a no recording policy. So yes, she did record me. And now I realize it feels almost like a plot that she created. I go up to her. She says in tears, I know what you said about me. I acknowledge it. I apologize.
Totally caught me off guard, but I thought, okay.
And it's being weird. And the entire time I'm being recorded without my knowledge. That is very shocking to me. And as someone that is a limited public figure doing this, as my job, to think that a contract worker who was an alleged friend, who actually still owed me work at the time, was waiting. I just paid her a very large amount of money for a job she never did finish, would be recording me without my permission in a place that I assume no one would record. That is concerning to me. That is very concerning. Okay, you have a few. Let's listen.
That she wanted to talk then, which totally caught me off guard, but I thought, okay, fine, let's see what she has to say. And what unfolded next was unreal. It was like watching someone trapped in their own maze of lies, spinning stories so fast she couldn't even keep up with herself. When one lie didn't land, she'd just pivot mid-sentence into a completely different one, like no shame, just constant spinning. And at one point, she literally started mumbling under her breath, having an entire conversation by herself while I was just standing there.
You should at least done your makeup, Jody. Gosh.
Yeah, because and then, and by the way, that started, they were, and I was like, would they do that to me? Anyway. Yeah, no, I know. So in many ways, I feel catfish.
And then in 1 second, she snapped and was like, oh, sorry, back to you.
But back to you.
And this is the part that killed me. She told me that we had to have that conversation right now because I kept repeating, you're in fight, flight, or freeze, probably not the best time to talk. But she said, no, we have to talk now. My assistant is, quote, always with me. I'm never alone, unquote. Girl, no. I honestly think she just didn't want her assistant finding out what she'd done.
Yeah, and by the way, I still don't even know what I've done. She didn't want her assistant to know what she's done. And by the way, you heard me already tell you, my assistant, who she's referred to as Grayson, has read all of my text messages. I have nothing to hide. Do I want the world to see them? No. Do you guys want the world to see your private text messages? No. But those that I know care about me and love me and that I trust, yeah, go for it. I have nothing to hide.
Okay. So after she put that out, the sperm thing, she says POV, gaslit in real time. So this is my boldest post yet. I want your feedback. People say. Now, it says 35 comments, but it didn't have 35 comments. It had way less. I only went and got the ones that were there before Lauren did her live stream. Deanne says, I'm here for this. I know this person and have been weary from day one. I'm so glad you got out. Christina says, dude, same. You're lucky your alarm bells went off too. CJ Run says, yes, this. Corruption at 556 says, alarms went off early for me, thank goodness. CJ Run says, you desperate Rexburgian. So I guess she's part of the Rexburg crew. I don't know. Felicia says, whoa. Christina says, right? Now, Felicia Henry O'Shea is somebody who ends up ultimately contacting the Mormon Stories podcast about Lauren later. So clearly, she knows these ladies. They've all talked because there was a group of friends prior to Lindsay, Lauren, Lori, all of them together. There was a different group who fell out as well. And I think now they're kind of all together and they're comparing notes and they're like, what the fuck? CJ Run. She definitely doesn't want her producer assistant to know who she really is, but the actual conversation is completely mind blowing. Christina, I'm still laughing at her talking to herself. Quaffle Knox says, girl playing her voice is diabolical. Christina says, as in give you more? Or maybe I went too far. Quaffle says, 100% keep going. Felicia says, no, we need more. Lori says, I agree, we need more. I think the chick she's talking about sounds like the diabolical one. Quaffle Knox says, oh, she is. I just love that she put out the audio. CJ Run, the actual audio is crazy. So these ladies all clearly know each other. The general fucking public did not know who the hell you were talking about at this point. None of us would have known. We just would have kept going and never realized what exactly is happening here. It took me literally 2 seconds to find out who this person was. 2 seconds. The minute she said the name Christina, just like that. She said she's making TikToks. Her name's Christina. Well, that's not too hard to find. Boom, done. It was easy. So she said because Christina put up this picture that people then knew who she was. Okay.
But on the Mormon Stories podcast, my stalker, when I appeared on July 14th, wrote in the comments with eye emojis in an effort to let people know she was watching. And this occurred after she did a TikTok. So I announced that I was going to be on Mormon Stories, and she did a TikTok about that. If you don't have it, it's okay. Oh, you do have it. Okay, because I can explain it too. Claiming that it was like a PR move because of something that I've done that was coming out. Like I said, I still don't know what I've done, minus people trying to claim I was hurting people's businesses, which simply isn't true. And reading private texts of mine that allegedly they don't like, and I haven't seen them. So it says, someone sent me a screenshot that my ex-friend is about to attempt some damage control, and I'm giddy. I can't wait to see how she tries to spin this. So, she's talking about my Mormon Stories podcast with John DeLim and Minnie Caldwell. Very confusing because, you think that I'm going to spin my life. My life is my life. I tell my entire honest, vulnerable life story on the Mormon Stories podcast. If you guys want to know anything about me, my life story is all there. 2 parts. It's ours. I tell it all. And I haven't known this stalker very long at all. She doesn't know me very well at all, really.
So remember, I just told you about Felicia O'Shields. She's the one who writes to Dr. DeLynn. Okay? You've all seen this on Lauren's Live. But I wanted to get the screenshot from the TikTok that Felicia somehow knows Christina, maybe. And then it feels to me like Lauren had a group of people. They were kindly friendly with her. Then they all fell out. Then comes along Christina and some others. And then eventually they all fall out. And at one point or another, there's a common thread. They kind of all start comparing stories and they have similar experiences, which is how people end up bonding. And that's how we ended up here, I think. But she's telling her to go watch Lauren on these, go watch these various TikToks. And John's like, well, do you have the TikTok account? Like, where is all of this? So was it right for them to contact Mormon Stories podcast, to contact John? Not in my opinion. I mean, they're trying to destroy her over what? Unless you have solid evidence that she needs to be. Welcome, Christy. such as bad talking victims. I've heard things have been said about Tylee, that things have been said about Kay. I certainly hope those things aren't true. I have no proof that they are, and I really hope that they aren't. That would be very sad. So, but this stuff here feels like they're trying to bring in a professional, such as John from Mormon Stories, and make them think badly of Lauren. Is that really fair to do if you're just having a bitch fest with her? I don't think so. I don't think that was a very nice thing to do. So that's where we are for now. Let me go back a little here. Yes, that's where we are for now. This is a lot. It's been a lot. And because I am getting things in emails, you always want to be careful about that kind of stuff, even if it is something you can request or something that you know is going to be out there. You still want to be careful and have respect for people and not go too far with it. Let's see. The husband's job was called or contacted. So John, her husband, is an adjunct professor. And Christina said she felt strange with Lauren's credentials and with John's. And so, yes, she called the university and said, "Is John like a professor there or whatever?" And they said no. What started all of this? They had a fallout, very easy little fallout from what I can understand. Nothing major. Nothing major. Here's what I have. The stalker. I don't even want to call her that. Christina and Lauren met in 2024 through the true crime community. Lauren is a journalist and a podcaster with a very large online following, including hundreds of thousands of subscribers across all the platforms. The two became friends. The respondent occasionally did design work for Lauren and John at a discounted rate because they were all friends. By early 2025, so they were friends for about a year, their relationship began to deteriorate over professional and personal disagreements, very minor things, nothing major. Christina sent a final invoice of March of 2025, marking the end of their working relationship. According to paperwork, on April 9th, the two met at a courthouse in Arizona very unexpectedly. Lauren called out to Christina, "Hey, how are you?" During the conversation, Lauren admitted to making negative remarks about Christina and other people, but was trying to justify them. Christina recorded it and stated she did so because she felt like Lauren would twist it all up. And Lauren allegedly continued contacting her, including multiple text messages, which I have shown you, blocking and unblocking her to deliver accusations while preventing responses. And Christina says, "I haven't even initiated contact since March of 2025. So this is ridiculous." Christina asserts that Lauren repeatedly inserted herself into the same spaces that she and mutual friends were in, whether it was restaurants or other places. Lauren waved to her at a courthouse. Lauren's assistant, Grayson, called and texted her even after claiming she was in fear of her. Lauren showed up in places where Christina already was present, but then later cited those situations as evidence of stalking. She says that these patterns were provoked, and she thinks it's ridiculous. She did make a TikTok. She was being very catty in the TikTok. She never made a physical threat to Lauren. The threats were, you know, basically, shit's gonna be coming out about you, and if you don't like it, too bad, so sad. So is that annoying and immature? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But is it illegal? I mean, Christina bought her CrimeCon ticket in 2024, yet Lauren decides to go. And because of her name in the industry, she ends up getting this RO, not because of her name. She got the RO because the bar is very low, and she got it and has it delivered and says, "You've got to leave, but I'm staying. You've got to get the fuck out, and I'm going to stay here." That's that's fucked up. I would have been furious. So Christina's served with the injunction, and the police tell her where she can go, where she can't, what she can do. Lauren and Grayson enter the same spaces, hotel bars, restaurants, and then call the police to have her removed. It's just like, oh my God. I would have felt gaslit at that point. Like, if I'm not even talking to you, we're not even having a conversation, hey, Connie, then you better get the hell away from me. Like, yeah, you're in one part of the restaurant, I'm in the other part of the restaurant. So what? This America. Can we all sit here together? What the fuck is the problem here? I'm not physically threatening you. It's just crazy. So Lauren is saying she's basically been incapacitated by fear. Just she's terrified. Her family's terrified. Her husband is having health issues, and I think her husband is a wonderful person. The way he presents on screen, he just seems a very sweet person. I would hate if all of this is bringing him a lot of stress. It's really sad, and I'm trying to understand. And maybe I'm from a different neighborhood. I'm from Boston. It's maybe a different thing, but TikToks about me or videos. I mean, I've dealt with a lot on YouTube. People have said a lot of shit about me. And I don't know that I've ever felt like, oh, I can't function or I'm in such paralyzing fear that I need to get an RL. I don't know. I don't know. And some of us were brought up in a time where there wasn't safe space and your mother would go upside your head often. And maybe Lauren wasn't brought up that way. Maybe she's used to a calmer, more civilized life. And this is just like a lot for her, perhaps. I can't say my life experience is anything like hers. Maybe she's just like, oh no, I can't have any of this. I cannot. And I'm over here like, Christina's corny as shit. Sorry, Christina. But I would have been like, you're a clown. Stop posting about me. Bye. I don't know. But if I had a lot to hide, if I had talked a lot of shit about my colleagues and friends, I probably would feel a certain kind of way. I'd be like, oh, I don't want any of this to get out. I don't. So, Christina denies stalking, harassing, obsession. She says she is a critic. She is a former friend. She's not pursuing Lauren in any way. And she feels like Lauren's trying to control a public narrative and shut things down. She says Lauren's own conduct, which is reinitiating contact, attending the same events, continuing to produce her content. She doesn't feel she's genuinely afraid, but engaged in reputation management through legal action. That's quite a sentence. You are engaged in reputation management through legal action. Maybe. I've got to make more coffee. So do we want to continue? Do you guys want to I have no problem staying on a bit, I'm going to put this in the chat for myself. I'm not going to let other people up right now unless they really want to come up. Let me put this for my little self here. Hey, coffee and skeletons. Let me get rid of that. Let me go over here. What? Just let me in. Just let me in. It's my own live stream, you asshole. I don't like this. Okay, wait. That's not where I wanted to go. That's just not where I wanted to go, sir. Oh. I opened it in Google. Google kind of sucks, so there's that. I didn't mean to do that. Let me join.
My phone joined.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Okay. All right, let's get the hell out of here and get some coffee, shall we? Can you see me? I muted myself over there. You have to say yes or no. Kevin can't hear you, but we can. Fair enough. Come on, little mama. As long as you can hear me, it's fine, I guess. To me, doing a 9-hour live crying is attention seeking. Well, I mean, she seemed very upset to me. But over what exactly? I don't know. New coffee.
My phone joined.
So weird. It just threw me right off. We don't like that. So I'm just going to come back. I know, imagine. I'm just going to come back on my regular live. So I will see you guys if you'd like to join us on just a regular chit-chatting live for a little bit. I will see you over there, okay? I love you so much. Bye.